Hello, this is Damian Alomar with ASGVIS, and this tutorial is going over the default settings in V-Ray for Rhino. So I have a scene open here, and we'll see that it just has a small little toy on top of a V-Ray infinite plane. I haven't actually made any adjustments to the settings or added any materials to the scene, so I'm just going to press render here and we'll see the image that comes up. So there are three main features that are enabled within the default settings of V-Ray for Rhino. The first one is indirect illumination, and that actually is giving us a little illumination within our shadow here. Without that shadow would actually be completely black. The second thing that we have is the V-Ray physical sun and sky enabled, and the third thing we have is the V-Ray physical camera enabled as well. So I'm going to bring up the pixel information and right click on the image, and we'll see that our 8-bit and our 16-bit colors are maxed out at white, but our float colors are actually going just slightly beyond white. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up the V-Ray options, and I'm going to go to the camera rollout here. We can see that here are our physical camera settings, and the concept behind the physical camera is that we can adjust the exposure of the image to decrease or increase the intensity. So since our image was very bright, we're actually going to decrease the intensity, and for that I'm going to adjust the shutter speed to 600 and render again. And so now we can actually see much better exposure for our image. Some people may not actually want to use the physical camera, so I'm going to go ahead and disable that and render again. And we'll notice automatically that our image is significantly brighter than it was before. I'm going to bring up the pixel information again, and we'll notice that our float values are really high now. Now they're about between 2 and 3, whereas they were just above 1 before. The reason for this is actually that we still have the V-Ray sun and sky enabled. With the sun and sky, the intensity is fairly bright, so without the physical camera it will wind up making your image completely white. So I'm going to go down here to my environment settings, and we'll see that we have our GI and our background here. Right now they actually have the sky enabled, so I'm going to click on that M, and this is going to bring up the V-Ray texture editor. Here in type, this is actually going to select what kind of map we actually have applied. So we have the sky and the different parameters that are associated with that. I'm actually going to change that back to none and click apply, and do that for the background as well. So now if I render, we'll have a better exposed image. We can actually begin to see those shadows again, but we'll notice that we're a little bright. That's because we actually have the GI enabled as well as the default light enabled, which is this shadow here. So I'm going to go here into global switches and disable default lights, and so now we'll see that our image now has that soft GI look, and our materials are actually a completely white material. So I'm going to go to override materials and change the color to light gray and render one last time. And so here is our basic GI setup within V-Ray for Rhino. We can actually go through and make adjustments to the color, the intensity, and that will be reflected within our rendering.